Yes, Pretzelman 945 here. Welcome back to another video, and welcome back to another episode of the 1 Minute Glaze series, which is the working title until I can think of a better one. And in today's episode, we are going to be doing the 1 Minute Glaze game with characters. I need to go grab my phone because I need that for the timer. I'm not supposed to do it on my computer, but whatever. We grabbed it. Okay. I don't know why the default iPhone is 1 hour, but I'm constantly setting it to 1 minute for these videos. Um. Okay. Um. I found I picked the first wheel that I found, and this definitely does not even have close to uh as many characters as there are in Star Wars. I'd be surprised if there's like even any Legends characters on here. Um, uh, but I think it's like most of the ones from like movies and show and stuff like that. Um, like why did it just automatically default? I just said it's that now. Whatever. Um, okay. Let's spin the wheel to get our first character for today's video. Oh boy, Ray. Okay. This. Oh my God, why do you keep setting it to that? Okay, this is going to be interesting. Um, let's start the timer. Okay. So Ray is, in my opinion, an overhated character. Um, I think that the idea of like her supposedly not having an identity, obviously that's changed in Rise of Skywalker with the Palpatine thing, but I thought that the idea was quite cool, and what I like about Rey is the way that she is a very, I guess, what I'd call realistic reflection of what it would be like if someone got the Force. Like, in comparison to Luke, who's very much more of a classic hero's journey type thing, Ray feels like a much more realistic reaction to finding out the Force sensitive. Oh, okay, that's time's up. Okay. Let's see the next character. C3PO. Okay, this is a great one. All right. Uh, timer starting now. Okay. So, I mean, C3PO, like, this guy's a classic. I refuse to believe there's anyone in the world that doesn't like C3PO. I mean, can he get a little annoying in certain scenes? Maybe. But like on the general whole, he's really funny. Um he just has a funny voice. He has a wholesome friendship with R2D2, and their constant bickering and antics is always funny to me. Um and um And I mean, I think the fact that like he's this protocol droid that can speak like 6 million languages or whatever it is, I think that's cool. Um, oh, time's up. Okay, that was a good one to do this with. I enjoy doing that. All right, let's spin the next character. So far, haven't had anything that's too difficult. Eve Koth or Eve Kor. Yeah, no, Eve Koth. Misspelling aside, it's Eve Koth. Um, uh, Um, okay, I think this one may be a little bit difficult, but you know what? We'll give it a try anyway. Okay, 1 minute timer, starting now. Okay, I mean, Hoff, in my opinion, is like one of the more underrated members of the Jedi Council because he just like I mean he was Zabrak, which already makes him kind of cool, and he's Zabrak and hair, which makes him more unique. Um, I just think that he's a cool looking character, even though he doesn't have that many scenes. There's a really cool episode where called Grievous Intrigue, where he puts up a really damn impressive stand against Grievous, and even though he ends up captured, he was still a absolute badass. And I kind of wish he was featured in more of the Clone Wars because he was a really cool character. Um, I know it wasn't him that fought Palpatine technically. I think it was the other guy. Okay, time's up. Uh, let's spin the next character. It wasn't as hard as I expected, actually. Qui-Gon Jinn. Okay, I think we're getting some very, very interesting characters. Not exactly ones that are hard for me to talk about for 1 minute, but um, ones that I think are making for an interesting conversation. Um, all right, 1 minute timer starting now. Okay, so I um I do think the idea of Qui-Gon as a character is really cool. I have to be careful not to point out criticism of Qui-Gon because that's not how this series works. I think Qui-Gon is a really cool character. I love Liam Neeson as an actor. I think he does a fantastic job as Qui-Gon. Um I think the idea of him is really cool. I really like the like his iconic quotes. There's a lot of really funny ones and also just a lot of really wise lines. And I really like his master student relationship with Obi-Wan. And I think it's interesting to see in the Phantom Menace Obi-Wan from that kind of perspective because it's very different. Okay. All right. That is time up. We've been going for 8 minutes so far. I think we'll do a few more spins. Let's see. Who do we have next? Ezra Bridger. Okay, we are getting some great ones here. Just in terms of like making really interesting discussion for me to talk about in only 1 minute. Okay. 1 minute timer for Ezra Bridger beginning now. Okay. Ezra, I think, is one of the most interesting characters in Rebels because, um, despite the criticisms of him I have in seasons 1 and 2 of Rebels, I think that he is a very, um, fun protagonist to follow because I think similar to Ray, Ezra is a very realistic character. Not as much in the sense of like him discovering that he's force sensitive for the first time, but more in the sense of like realizing that he wants to be a part of something bigger than himself that isn't just fighting to survive. And then of course in seasons 3 and 4 he gets amazing. Um he develops so much more as oh, that's time up. Okay. There was a lot more to talk about with him than I expected. That's why I say we're getting quite interesting characters here. All right, let us spin the wheel. Who is the next character I will have to glaze for a minute while I get actually hard? Mon Mothma. Okay, right. Another very interesting character to talk about. Um, 1 minute timer starting now. Okay, so Mon Mothma, I think, is really, really interesting, primarily because of Andor. If there was not Andor to go off of, I think this would be a lot harder. But I think Mon Mothma in Andor is a brilliantly written character who is so who it's so interesting to see how she straddles the line between keeping up appearances as this senator while she also knows that her position is slowly disappearing and becoming more and more irrelevant, while also secretly trying to fund a rebellion. And it's super interesting, I think, across both seasons of Andor to see the way that she balances these two roles extremely effectively. Uh oh, that's time. Okay, that was a very, very interesting character to talk about in that sense. Um, let's see what the next spin is. We've been getting a lot of fantastic characters. Watto! Okay. Right. This one might be a little bit difficult. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. Um, okay, 1 minute timer starting. Okay, so obviously Watto is a slave owner. That's not great. But like also everyone on Tatooine does that for heck's sake. And I want to believe that I want to believe that Anakin as a kid was treated better as a slave than like under Watto than he was under Gargula the Hutt. So I want to think that Watto is not that bad of a slave owner, at least as far as slave owners go. Like from what we see in the movie, he seems reasonably fair, doesn't like completely overwork Anakin, and like has him only help around the shop for the most part. Um, it's so, and I mean, like, okay, that's turned on me. Wasn't as hard as I thought, actually. Uh, okay. Yeah, let's spin again. Who will we get next? Graph. Um, okay. I'm gonna have to respin because I have absolutely no memory of who let's see. Bo-Katan. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. 1 minute timer starting. now. Bo-Katan is, I think, one of my favorite Mandalorian characters. I think that she goes on a really, really interesting character arc throughout all of the Clone Wars. Because she starts out as like the second in command to Pre Vizsla, but when he gets off by Maul, it puts her in a very interesting position because he doesn't really know like how to cope with it at first, and even after liberating Mandalore, um, or well, uh, driving off Maul's forces and stuff like that. Or well, she tries to do that, but it ends up unsuccessful an attempt. Oh, that's wow. Okay, I I had quite a lot to say on Bo-Katan, turns out, and I didn't have enough time to do it, but that's fine. Uh, let's see, how long have we been going for? I want to keep this video relatively short. So how long was was the last one? Last one was actually 14 minutes. Okay. I'm going to do one more spin for this video because I wanted to record something kind of shorter tonight. So let's spin one more time and we will get the final character we are going to talk about for this video. Oh, Dameron. Okay, okay. All right. 1 minute timer starting now. Okay. So my favorite quality of Poe is definitely his friendship with Finn. I think that that is just really wholesome, and I think that they get along great. And I think they make for both like great co-leaders of the Resistance in Rise of Skywalker. That's an aspect of both their characters that I really liked in Rise of Skywalker, despite the fact that Finn didn't really have much of a character in that movie. Um, there was that little bit which I liked of him, but this is about Poe. Um, Also, I think that his arc in The Last Jedi about like leadership is really interesting and I always thought it was such a tense scene, like when he took over the ship and like the way that that was used as a comparison to Holdo and like the differences in their leadership styles. I thought that was really interesting, and I thought that that was continued into Rise of Skywalker very well. Actually, oh, and that is time up. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of the 1 Minute Glaze series. If you have a name for the series that you think is better, then please let me know in the comments. So, let me know what franchises characters would you like me to see? Would you like to see me do this series with next? I have plenty of my own ideas, but I will prioritize the ideas from the comments, of course. But yeah, for now, hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.